guys, welcome back to my show Get Real with Jasmine. If this is your first time to my show, hello, I'm Jasmine. And this is a podcast about personal growth, self development, and just anything that's going on with my life. If you guys are watching video podcasts right now on YouTube or Spotify, you'll see that it's very dark in the back. That's because my light bulb is broken, and I just don't give a fuck enough to change it right now, so that's why it's very dark today. But it doesn't matter, it's okay. And so usually we start the podcast with a story, but I'm really running out of stories to tell, guys. Like, I haven't left my room for a long time. I haven't socialized with people for a long time, so I don't have stories to tell now, so sorry. And oh, guys, we have a name for this little one. It's called Bobby. Guys, let's meet Bobby. He's my podcast partner. Whenever I feel embarrassed talking to myself, I look at Bobby. So, all right. So today's topic is actually pretty personal for me, and to be honest, I struggle a bit before I decided to share my stories and before I decided to do this episode. But I hope that it could help people that ever struggle the same way as I do, or that ever feel the same way, or feeling like being misunderstood at some point in their life. So today I'm going to talk about my life as a highly sensitive person. And so if you feel related to what I'm going to talk about next, chances are you probably are highly sensitive like I do. Or if you already know that you are a highly sensitive person, I will also share how I overcome my weakness as a highly sensitive person, and also how I find my strength. And if you have any highly sensitive person in your life, if you know anybody is highly sensitive, you should watch this video too, because it will help you understand more about them, like what is going on with their mind and what is their struggle, and so you can create a space and an environment that is both comfortable for you and the person. And to be honest, I only discovered that I am highly sensitive a few months ago. Like, I was suspicious about this for quite a long time, but I think I was refusing to believe it because when I grow up, I think sensitive is not a good word. I feel like it's describing people that are weak, but I'm telling you now, it's not. It's just an adjective. It doesn't mean something good, it doesn't mean something bad. And so once I learned about that I am a highly sensitive person, I look back at my life and literally it feels like everything finally makes sense. And it feels so good. It makes me feel so powerful, to be honest. So let's start it. Growing up, I always feel like there's something wrong with me. Looking back, I realize these feelings of stress and discomfort around people started from a very, very young age, probably even more than I can ever remember. And so when I was little, like probably 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, my parents had this group of friends, like 10 people. And these people, we used to meet them like probably 3 times a year. And these adults, they would bring their kids as well. So it would make it like a huge group of probably around 20 to 25 people in total. And we would maybe go on like a full day trip or a 3 days trip together. And I have fun with them. I really have. But the thing is, I remember among all kids, I would always be the first one to annoy my mom, like, Mom, I want to go home now, I don't want to stay here anymore. And I remember that this would bother my parents so much because, first of all, none of the kids are doing this. And some of the kids are even asking their parents that they want to stay longer. So my mom would just be like, why are you doing this? They do not understand. And the second reason is that my parents thought that I just want to go home to watch TV, which I did believe that was the problem too, because I did want to watch the TV, but what I didn't know at that time, or what I was struggling to tell my parents at that time when I was really young is that I feel so drained and uncomfortable being in such a huge group of people. I was just uncomfortable, but you're so little that you don't know how to express that feeling to your parents. And another thing is that I don't know if this is an Asian thing or what. Like, comment below if your parents ever ask you to do this thing. So, growing up, my parents love to ask me to say hi to my neighbors or to any adults that we met at that time. And I fucking hate that. I still hate it so much right now. Like, I do not understand why adults force kids to do that, because it didn't represent anything. If I want to do it, I'll do it. If I don't want to, don't force me to do that. Because in my parents' mind, they feel like this is a polite thing to do. But for me, I not only hated it, when I was a kid, I can feel that this tension in my chest and my stomach. I would have so much struggle. I would have so much chaos and drama inside my head before I finally say hi to my neighbors. Literally, just the word hi could stress me out so much. And every single time I did this, it makes me feel very stressful. And so, if you're a highly sensitive person like me, you've probably been misunderstood throughout your childhood, especially when the adult around you is not sensitive enough. Like, for me, I was labeled as difficult or impolite throughout my childhood. And I actually believed in that because that's just how people describe you when you're young. And because of these misunderstandings, you probably suffer from low self-esteem later on in your adult life. And there are also other signs, like I really hate noises. Any place that is loud, like club, or when the music is very loud in the car, like I hate that. And or like when my flatmates are talking very loud in the house. All these things I hate it. And I'm not just talking about minor annoyances. I don't just dislike it. It's like whenever this happened, I can feel my stomach and chest tighten. Or when it's like bad, I can feel my heart is beating very, very fast. And so the common signs that you might be a highly sensitive person includes like you spend a lot of time alone, or you need a lot of time alone. You don't enjoy parties. You don't enjoy being in places with lots of people. You hate loud noises. You don't like small talk, but you enjoy deep conversation. Or you get startled very easily. You get nervous. You get stressed very easily. And you strongly avoid conflicts. And usually your five senses are stronger than other people. Maybe not all five senses, but there must be some of your senses are more sensitive than others. And if you're highly sensitive, chances are you are an introvert. Like, there's still a minority of highly sensitive people that are extrovert, but for me, I am 100% introvert. But I think that's where it gets like confusing, because I'm pretty socialized right now, meaning that I can talk to strangers anytime I want. And most of the time I'm pretty chatty. So I can like have a conversation with someone without them noticing that inside I actually just want to run away and I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Like, I am able to hide that right now. But this is a part where it gets confusing, because I used to lock myself in my room all the time. And I was okay being an introvert, like not talking to people. Like, I'm okay with that. But then I started to push myself out of my room and I started to make friends. And these are the friends I genuinely enjoy being with. But the thing is that most of the time, and a lot of times, I still want to be alone and I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to see them at all. And that makes me feel sorry. That makes me so confused. I was thinking like, why do I still struggle to fit in? I do not understand that. And I think this is a part where it's conflicting for highly sensitive people, because it's not like you cannot talk to people. It's not like you can't socialize with people, especially when your social skills develop when you grow. You behave quite normally in front of people. But then you start wondering, okay, why am I still not enjoying parties as much as others do? Why am I still not feeling comfortable in the social settings? And that's the point where you feel like, okay, there's something wrong with me. And the biggest reason why we find it so hard to communicate or socialize with people, or that we cannot spend as much time outside as others do, is because that highly sensitive people have a more delicate nervous system, meaning that the inputs that you receive goes deeper into the system, and it's like everything happening in the outside world, happening in the environment. For example, it could be a conversation happening at the next table of the restaurant, or the noise of the traffic, the bright lights, or the social media, or people's emotions. Everything happening in the outside world, good or bad, it triggers a series of thoughts, feelings, associations in you. And this creates a problem that you tend to feel overstimulated. Okay, I'll try my best to explain this. So think of human brains like a container. When we receive input from the outside world, it fills up this container. But for highly sensitive people, our container fills up much faster than others because every input that we receive is more intense. So it takes up more spaces in the container. And so that makes it easy for us to reach to a point where our container feels like it's about to overflow. So for me, I get overwhelmed very, very easily. And most of the time, before I understand that I'm highly sensitive, I do not know why. I do not know why I'm so overwhelmed. I would just be like, oh my god, I'm feeling so messed up. But I can really tell what's going on here, what's really causing this disturbance. I would just have this urge like, oh, I'm gonna need an output right now, or like my head is going to explode, or I cannot think straight anymore. So after knowing this, I finally understand my behavior around my friends, like I still enjoy going to parties, I still enjoy hanging out with them, but when I go to parties, when I'm in these social settings, like after an hour, you'll find me hiding in the corner or like start checking times. And it's not like because I am in a bad mood or I'm feeling depressed. No, it's nothing like that. It's just that I am so stimulated right now and I need some peace of mind. I need some silence. Like I'm just feeling tired and my social battery just died. That has nothing to do with my mood. And so then because of that, I started to learn to make up some shitty excuses to leave the party early. I always be like, I'll have some work to do. I need to sleep early today. Oh, well, if you're watching this video, I know you can relate to this. So when I'm feeling overstimulated, the best output for me is always through writing and journaling. And for me, like I love journaling, and especially I'm lucky enough to have this habit since I was 12, because I started to doing this because I feel like I had so much thoughts and feelings in me, but I did not know who I can share them with. That's why I started journaling. And I'm telling you guys, like journaling is amazing. Like there were so many times in my life where I was just stressed and depressed. And then so I decided to start journaling. And once I started journaling, right? Like sometimes I didn't even know where this is going. I would just simply start writing like, oh, I'm so depressed today. I feel so sad today. And just simply let your mind flow and flow and flow. And then once I finish writing, like, I don't have that problems anymore. And that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes like you are just overstimulated and there's no actual problem there and you just need an output. So like sometimes when you feel like depression is actually just mental overcrowding. It's just too much going on in your head. So after you dump all these shit, like after you dump all these mental trash, you're good at snoo. If you haven't tried journaling, like try it, especially for you as a highly sensitive person. It's very necessary for you because your mental activity is more active than others. So if you don't write it down, or if you don't have other output in life, you're not thinking straight. Like your thoughts and feelings can feel paralyzing. So you may ask, how do we fix the problem? Well, I don't think problem is the right word here because, like I said, I don't think being highly sensitive is a problem at all. It's just who you are. But I also want to be realistic. I do believe that there are certain things that highly sensitive people is struggling in life. It's a thing that can actually be worked on and can be improved. And so the biggest thing that I struggle as a highly sensitive person is that I have problems navigating through social settings or being with people, like going to uni, working on a group project, going to work, going to gym, whatever. Like whenever there's people, there's problem. It was just so exhausting. But particularly because of this, once I overcome my anxiety through people or my anxiety in the social setting, I feel undefeatable. I feel like a badass. It makes me feel so much more confident. Seriously, like when you overcome your struggles with talking to strangers, it can make me feel a lot more comfortable because you see, fear of talking to strangers for me is a big problem because it's not like your fear of cockroach because you're not going to see cockroach every day, right? But you meet a stranger every day. Downstairs at 7-Eleven, there's a stranger. So if you know how to like overcome it, it will make your life so much more easier. And I don't think you need to like feel comfortable talking to strangers. Like I still feel uncomfortable lots of times, but I think at least you have to know how to do it. And at least when you talk to strangers that you don't freak out or you just stand there and not knowing what to do, not knowing what to say. Okay, so I'll share two things that help me to overcome my discomfort. The first thing is, you're gonna kill me by saying this, but the first thing is small talk. I know. I hate small talk too. I hate small talk so much, like from the bottom of my heart. But this could be practiced, guys. Like you can practice with people that have to talk to you. For example, when you go buying a coffee in the morning, just be like, hey, how's your morning going? How are you? Okay, I feel cringe even saying this right now. But the benefit for this method is that the the period of small talk is very short because it's just probably like 30-second max when you're making that order, right? When you're doing the order, when you're ordering the coffee, you order it and then done, and then you wait on the side and then you grab your coffee and you leave. So it's like very easy. And also like when you go to like supermarket, convenience store, for example, just like, hi, how are you? And talk about the weather. It's like, I'm sorry, but that's really important. That's literally what I did. Or, just smile. If you really feel uncomfortable about talking to strangers, just smile and don't avoid eye contact. And trust me, you'll get better at it. And remember, like, the point of this is not about being an expert, becoming an expert of small talk. It's about, like, getting used to the discomfort of talking to strangers. So when you're actually stuck with someone for a longer time, you feel calmer and also you can behave more normally. And the second thing is talk to your coworkers. I used to struggle so much at workplace that I just hate going to work, that I don't talk at work at all. And I have some like former coworkers that's listening to this podcast now, and they'll probably be like, "No, you're lying. You're just bullshitting because you're just talking so much in the department and you're talking about racist jokes all the time." But yeah, that's like how good I have become. But I was struggling for a long time in the workplace, to be honest. And I remember like both of my managers, they gave me very similar feedback when they're doing my how do you say, like, annual review. They told me that, Jasmine, I think you're doing a great job. Of course I am. But they said, like, you're doing a very good job, but I would recommend you to interact with other people more. And that's like really literally how I was struggling. Like I remember I would just go to the staff canteen in the beginning, and then I would just find a corner seat to sit down, and then with my earphones on and then just don't talk to me. But then when there goes to a point that I realize I need to change, I started to push myself out there to, I decided that I would sit down with someone every day at work during lunchtime. Anybody, seriously, anybody. And you don't even need to talk in the beginning. You can just sit down with them. And one tip I recommend is that find a big table with lots of people so you can just hide in the corner and you can start analyze or observe how people started their small talk and learn from it. For example, like one thing I noticed is that they always started the conversation like, "Hey, how's work today?" See, like that's just how bad I was. I had to learn from this. I had to learn even just asking how's work. But yeah, that's how I started to learn from it. And I think workplace small talk is good because you can still find some common thing to talk about. Like you can complain about some clients, or you can talk about like some industry news, or you can talk about like things going on in your department, ask about his department, like all sort of things. Like it's easier than just talking to a random stranger on the street. And like once you get better at this workplace small talk, you can dive deeper into their personal life, What did you do on weekend? And like how's your dinner with your mother-in-law? Or like how's your trip to New York? Whatever. Like blah blah blah. And the next thing you know is that you're so good at small talk in workplace. And that's good because you see that work plays such a huge role in our lives. So if you can get better at workplace small talk, you get better with the people at your work. And then your work life becomes so much easier. And then your life becomes so much easier. You see that? And I think what is good about these both tips are it's so easy to practice because they fit into your daily schedule. Like you don't need to go out of your way to do it. Like you don't need to join a book club. You don't need to go to gym. It's just about making these small effort in your daily life. So you can do it, guys. And also like not just for strangers. I also struggle a lot with friends and family too. And I still do, to be honest. I obviously feel very comfortable around them, but the problem is that I still feel tired or overwhelmed faster than others do. Because whenever there's interaction, there is stimulation. And so the struggle comes from me feeling guilty because I can see their frustration when I told them like, I had to go. I'm feeling so tired. I need to end this conversation right now. And I can see their frustration. They are sad. They would be like, no, don't go, whatever. And so even though my friends never blame me for that, even though my friends fully 100% respect my own space, but I still feel very, very bad. And I feel like I disappoint them. And I think for highly sensitive people that the guilt often comes from feeling something's wrong with them and you let your friends and family down. But now like there is science, there is an explanation behind your behavior. So you don't need to feel apologetic anymore because this is who you are and you can't change it. I don't know if this is a genetic thing, but what I learned is that there's a research on babies. Like if you give these babies water and you suddenly change the sweetness in the water, some babies will just keep drinking the water, but some babies will have very, very strong reactions. And these babies who have like these highly reactive babies are later considered as highly sensitive people when they grow up. So probably these is something that you're born with. These highly sensitive people's traits are in it. So there's nothing wrong with that. You're born with that and it makes you unique. So once I understand that where a huge source of my chaos comes from, from the outside world, I just feel justified if I just want to stay home all day. If I want to sit on my chair, if I want to just lie on my floor, if I want to just look at the ceiling all day, I'm fine with that. I don't blame myself anymore for wanting to do that. I'll just let myself do it. Because for me, it's self-care. Okay, now you're probably thinking, oh my god, it sucks to be highly sensitive people. Like, I cannot talk to people well. I'm being misunderstood all the time. Like, blah, 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 blah. No, 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 guys. Wherever there are challenges, there are also gifts. Everything is about balance. You probably have natural talents that you haven't recognized as a strength for highly sensitive people. See, highly sensitive people get inspired very, very easily. Like, I would seriously tell my friends in their face, like, I found you very, very inspiring. And sometimes they would look at me like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so now I finally understand, like, it's not them, it's me. And see, it's so good to be your friends because you have this ability to pick up some inspirations from their words and to make them feel better about themselves. So see, like, if anybody's watching this video right now, cherish your friend who is highly sensitive. They're good for you. They'll make you feel good about you. But I think it's very hard to describe these feelings, but I think highly sensitive people notice subtle details that other might miss because you are more observant. Like, you can notice a behavior of somebody in a cafe, or you can notice like a slight change in your mom's tone. Seriously, like, this is so useful. Like, when I was a kid, when my mom came home, like, I can know that how is her mood today just based on the first three words she said, and my brother can never tell that. And so I think that is a strength for highly sensitive people, like, you get to like know people's mood very, very well. It can also be like some sentence that a celebrity say on the TV, or it could be a YouTube video. I remember there's one time that I was watching the YouTube video, and you guys know that kind of video that they gave you like a 15 minutes summaries of a TV show, so you don't actually have to watch the whole TV show. So I was watching that, and then the next morning I went to a cafe and wrote like an hour. I feel so inspired. And I remember that afternoon I met my friend and I was just nonstop talking about my inspiration. Like, I was like, oh, I'm feel so inspired because this TV show is blah 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 blah. And then my friend probably feel like I am crazy because I didn't even watch the actual TV show. And that's just how easily inspired we get. So, because for me, like, every little thing, every trivial thing, images, conversations, experience in my life can trigger a series of thoughts in me. And that's why I created this podcast. Like, every story that I had in my life, I can wrote an article based on that. And guys, like, this is the strength of being a highly sensitive person. And you're probably thinking like, oh, isn't this how it is for everyone? No, trust me. Most people don't observe details. And you think about like time when you're in a conversation and you're like, did you guys see the mom that was talking to her son in that cafe? And then your friend is like, no, like, they have no idea what you're talking about. See, like, own it. It's your strength. Own it. It's your talent. And because of this, you are naturally creative. Your inner world is richer than others, that you have great imagination. For me, like, this is reflected on my writing. It can also be reflected on like painting, songwriting, or like dancing, photography. Like, if you haven't had any creative outlets like this, I really recommend you to try something, because you might be surprised by how good you are at it. Like, how you just constantly have new ideas coming to you. It's insane. Seriously, try it. It's like, after I started this podcast, I was like, whoa, I cannot stop writing. I had ideas all the time, even in the middle of the night. And so this is your superpower. Use it to create art. But like I said, be careful also, because it could be overwhelming sometimes, because literally, seriously, every little thing in your life could be an inspiration. So sometimes it would reach to a point where it feels like a burden, because you can't stop. You can't rest. Your brain is just stimulating all the time. It's working all the time, and it becomes like exhausting at some point. So you need to learn how to have this mental switch in your mind that you can just turn it off. And after I realized that I am a highly sensitive person, even when I was writing the script for this episode, a lot of childhood trauma comes back to me, or even the memories that I didn't even know it was there. And it was painful. To be honest, it was really, really painful because you start thinking about the times that you were misunderstood, the time where people are abusive to you because they don't understand you. And it was painful. So at some point, I felt like a victim. And I was mad for not being understood as a child. But that's what I want to say, guys. Everybody grow up with their own trauma, with or without them realizing this. Everybody has trauma. So there's really no point of victimizing yourself or blaming your family, blaming your friends, because you didn't even know that you are highly sensitive. So how would you expect your parents or your friends to know about this? And I think it's great for you to finally realize you have all these trauma and finally know that there's nothing wrong with you. You're just highly sensitive, because that means that you can finally start healing yourself. You finally know, okay, where all these behavior, where all these insecurities of yours come from. And then you can finally fix that. You're not a victim. It's fucking powerful to know that there's actions that you can take to make yourself feel better. And I love that. So start healing yourself, and then you can finally feel great for the very first time in your life. And so here's my final message to highly sensitive people. I think it sucks so much to feel like there's something wrong with you for your whole life, to constantly feeling misunderstood, to constantly feel like you can't fit in. So that's why I'm sharing my story right now, so you don't have to feel that way anymore. And I remember that there's this one post on Instagram. I don't remember what the exact word is, but it was saying something like, why is everybody telling introvert to speak up, but nobody's telling extrovert to shut up? And I remember watching that post and I was like, shit, this is amazing. Fuck, I love it. And don't get me wrong, my point is not about hating extroverts. I do believe that we need both types of people in this world 100%. They just contribute to the world in a very different way. But my point here is that the world is changing. We used to live in a world that only value extroverts traits, where everybody is expected to be smiling to others. Everybody is expected to socialize with others. But now you are seeing how these introvert people, they are having their own voices. They're going on social medias and sharing about their insecurities, but also sharing about their strength as an introvert. And same with you as a highly sensitive person. God created you for a reason. You are still here for a reason. I have no doubt in that. No doubt. So create your boundary, own your identity, step up, and be unapologetic. Be loud, so there will be less highly sensitive kids growing up and feeling like there's something wrong with them. And by being loud, I don't mean going onto the street and shout I'm a highly sensitive person. Well, I don't think highly sensitive people would do that, but I mean be loud in your own way. Create a platform, or just be loud of who you are. Don't be apologetic. And if people in your life cannot understand that, fuck them. You don't need it. You don't need it. You will find someone who truly respect and love who you are. And also for anybody that has highly sensitive people in their life, I want to tell you that sometimes when we feel like we need to be in solitude, or we don't seem to have that much fun, it's not because we don't like you. Chances are it doesn't necessarily has anything to do with you. It just means that we are tired and we need our space. Really, really, it's nothing personal. And so I want you to understand that. And at last, I highly recommend this book called Highly Sensitive People Living in an Insensitive World. It's very easy to read, so I will put a link for this book down below. And so if you're interested in this topic, this book really, really covers a lot more details. And so, yeah, Thank you guys so much for listening to this podcast today. And so, if you're struggling being a highly sensitive person, I really hope that this video will help you in some ways. Remember, like, you are not the only person that's feeling this way. And you are just amazing for being who you are. So just be loud. You don't need to hide it. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you. And as usual, pause this podcast, leave a 5-star review, share it with your friend. And if you have any recommendations and any suggestions, feel free to let me know. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye now.